evening, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Fire Up. And we're talking My Town is the title tonight. Stay tuned to find out what that means. I have an awesome panel tonight. In fact, I have a newbie to the Fire Up show, but she is not new to me. She is dear to my heart. She is one of my chicks and salsa girls. It is Jen. Hi, Jen. How are you?
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
You betcha. And back again for more is Ralph Williams. Hi, Ralph.
Hey, thanks, Candy. It's great to be here.
It's great to have you.
Thank you.
And Mr. Jeremy, who's been celebrating for, I don't know, how many days now straight, Jeremy?
Probably since we won the division in week 16. Well, that's a lot of weeks. I can't count it all. Over 40 days.
Awesome. Well, congratulations to your Detroit Lions because they are still live. And let's start with that. Let's start the show with talking about NFL playoffs. I'm gonna let Ralph start, and we're gonna talk about we're gonna start with the Lions game, even though that's not the first game on Sunday, but we're gonna start with the Lions game.
Well, I think this is going to be a good matchup, Candy. I like Detroit in this because Dan Campbell has his team, ready to go. I would like to see them go to a Super Bowl this year because Dan Campbell's about to lose his coordinators. Both of them are up for some coaching jobs. Ben Johnson's about to go somewhere, and and Aaron Glenn's been interviewing as well. So I'd really like to see that happen because. Again, I like Dan Campbell. I like his style. I like the way he has his team ready, fired up, and all set to go. And I think Detroit's going to win this game, but it's going to be a dogfight.
Miss Jen, what do you think about that Lions-San Francisco game?
Okay, so here's my thing. I really want the 49ers to win. And I'm really sorry, Jeremy. I'm really sorry, Ralph. I'm sorry, Mel. I'm sorry, Scott. However, I really, really, really want this for Steve Wilkes, for Sam Darnold, and my crush that is engaged to another woman because I'm married to somebody else, Christian McCaffrey, to win and get a ring so they can do exactly that, Jeremy. So they can do that to David Tepper. Because honestly, Christian kind of deserves it too. He's had what touchdowns ever in every single game since he's been with the 49ers, and I don't know, he's the only one of three that's ever been running backs that's ever been in the 1,000 club. People have shortchanged him because of that tool, Matt Rule. And Candy, you know how much I love him. Jeremy, you know how much I love him too. And because he was jealous. That's all I can think of with Matt Rule and Christian McCaffrey. And I want this for them so bad. Like, I really do. And I want it for the Lions. So I'm actually really torn. I honestly think it's going to be who has the ball last. And Brock Purdy has to step up his game. Because Jordan Love, in my humble opinion, outplayed him last week with the exception of 2 balls. 2 balls. That's what prevented Green Bay from winning last week.
It was 2 interceptions and a punt to end the game in their last 3 drives. But here's what I think of that last take.
It's okay. You still love me.
I still love you. It has nothing to do with you. I love you.
I love you.
But at the same time, news just came out that Debo is out.
That's okay.
Brock Purdy's yet to win a game with Debo not starting.
Feed Christian.
But I don't care. Let him feed Christian. What is the Detroit Lions second best in the league at?
I don't know. What is Christian number 1 in the league at?
Stopping the run and running backs and screen passes.
Christian is a different running back than the Lions usually go up against.
We went up against a few of them this year.
You've gone up a few against them. You haven't gone up against. Christian is a 5 generational player.
I don't care. I love Christian. I loved him in college. I loved watching him. But guess what? The buck stops here. It's just like Matt Stafford coming home to Detroit.
Yeah, y'all have done a great thing for Matt Stafford. Hats off. Seriously.
He did a great job in that game, and I'm not taking anything from him. But we're going to do exactly like we've done the last 2 games.
Yeah.
We're going to let one wide receiver eat. We're going to shut down the run game. There has not been a single running back all season that's gained 100 all-purpose yards versus Detroit.
But
But
49ers have the best
we all have one, and usually they stink.
I know. I'm just saying, Jeremy.
I don't care.
It's going to be a very tight game.
Yeah, it's going to be a dogfight.
Yeah, literally. I do really want this for my Carolina guys. I really do. Truly.
But at the same time.
And you need it for your city. And I get it.
Right. San Francisco's won enough Super Bowls.
But not with my people.
Yeah. It's Detroit's turn to get rid of the Bobby Lane curse.
Bobby Lane curse has been removed because ever since Jeff Daniels and Peyton Manning did that on Peyton's places last year,
right,
just before week 8 when we traded away T.J. Droppinson, guess what? We've lost a total of 5 games this year. 2 games after that. We've only lost 7 games since that week. 7 games. And at no time have we lost 2 games in a row. And we have yet to trail in the playoffs in any game.
So that'll be great.
Either had the lead or tied the entire time. That's all I got to say.
Well, as a Green Bay Packer fan who just played San Francisco, and I would say San Francisco did not beat us. We lost.
No, you beat yourself.
We were the better team that game.
You were.
And yes, we made some mistakes. I'm going to say one of our mistakes was Matt LaFleur calling the 4th down. I think it was the 3rd series or the 2nd series where Jordan Love tried to go for it on 4th and 1 from and he went for it and they ran right up the gut. Well, San Francisco knew what we were going to do, and they blocked us, and they stopped us.
The only good thing that came out of that is y'all heard Eric Armstead on that play.
We did. But so coming away from the first quarter with only 6 points, and we were inside the 20, all 3? I mean, we lost that game. Jordan threw an interception at the end. And Dabu Sweeney, Dabu went out in that game. I think, and I shouldn't say that. I know San Francisco can be beat. You stop the run game, and you put pressure on Purdy, and those are the keys to Detroit winning. Now,
it only 2 you guys had on Purdy the whole game, but you were making him run out of the pocket and uncharacteristically off kilter, if I remember right, correct?
Yes.
And I would say this, Greenlaw, in my opinion, Greenlaw is who won it for the 49ers because he's the one who got the 2 interceptions. Jordan Love's biggest mistake, in my opinion, was the crossbody. But still, I was thinking, okay, you lose force when you go crossbody.
Yes.
And that was still a really, really pretty got it, ball.
I mean, it looked pretty getting there. It sure did. I mean, that's no joke. I mean, that ball was beautiful. It was a spiral. You could tell the strength he has because that's all shoulder and arm. That has nothing to do with your legs. He was running in the opposite direction. He threw off the front foot across his body with that shoulder, and it went 30 yards down the field for the first down they needed after the penalties.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
But it was only 4 yards short because it actually needed to travel 34.
And that was, I will say, it was also a largely defensive game. So when you agree, Candy, that was largely defensive because it was a very low-scoring game. Even in the first quarter, the 49ers held you guys to just a field goal in the first quarter.
Yeah, and then also too, you have two high-powered offenses as well.
Yeah,
Jen.
you do.
You have, Green Bay and San Francisco both have good offenses, and Jordan Love has become a better quarterback this year. My co-host Smoking Jim Fraser always praises him when he hears Jordan Love's name. He says he's going to be a really good quarter, and he has turned into a good quarterback. It's just that some, that 4th and 1. That Matt LaFleur called that play up the middle. Candy, I agree with you. That was a bad play call. And then, that's why I said they beat themselves with that play. And I always say on 4th and 1, when you blow it, you're going to eat it. And he definitely ate it. So
the one thing I will say about the Detroit Lions is that they need to use all their weapons and they need to be playing in their A game. Jared Goff needs to be playing a good game in order to beat San Francisco's defense. He can do it, but he cannot be pressured that much. He cannot throw interceptions. Let's face it, when it comes down to this round, especially in the playoffs, you've got to do the little things right, because if you start messing up the little things, they become big things. And that's part of the problem with what happened at the Green Bay game. We did a lot of little things, had a lot of little penalties that kept us from getting where we needed to go, and that's what kept us from winning. This time, this round, you have to be on your game and doing the little things right in order to advance to the next round.
And in all
one other thing too, you got to have a you got to have. Ben Johnson is about to become a head coach. If he blows this game by making bad play calls and stuff like that, where does this go for Ben Johnson? You see what I'm saying? Look at Dan Quinn down in Dallas. Dan Quinn had, right after that game, he didn't get no more coaching interviews because of that game against Green Bay. So what I'm saying is when you do that, that's can't have a bad game if you want to be a head coach.
Okay, first of all, Dan Quinn is famous for doing Dan Quinn things like losing very winnable games. Yeah. We know this from Atlanta. He's part of the reason. Well, he was one of the redeeming factors for Atlanta for me.
Right.
But I really hate Atlanta. But I like the city. But where do y'all think Ben Johnson is going to go? Because I think there's only 2 head coaching positions left open now.
Yeah,
I heard Washington today.
Washington is not doing any more interviews with any coaches. They are waiting for the Lions to be out of the playoffs to hire Ben Johnson.
Yes.
That is what was rumored all across all the NFL Network stuff. AG still has an interview lined up with Seattle. Mm-hmm. So I think and they do have one more interview scheduled with Dan Quinn, but they postponed it 3 times because they're waiting for AG to be available to see if he wants to go there first, I believe. So I think that's what's going to end up happening is AG will go to Seattle and Ben Johnson will end up in Washington, the last 2 jobs available.
Awesome.
And that's great. And that's wonderful. And the only thing I can say is thank God we'll get 2 compensatory picks for AG when he gets his head coaching job.
Now, here's my question. What if you guys don't make it to the Super Bowl? I'm just speaking in hyperbole. I'm not watching it. Do you think Ben Johnson would still leave, or do you think he would stick it out one more year?
That's a good question.
It is a good question, but I don't think either one of them is going to stick around. I really don't, because coordinator money is half of what base starting salary of a head coach is. And the rumor that Ben Johnson asked for $15 million was such poppycock. It was shot down by his agent 2 days later.
That's David Tepper. That's David Tepper deal with me being up.
I think that was just to make David Tepper go, well, we're not getting him.
I wouldn't work for them if you pay me double.
My buddy wanted me to apply for the Panthers job.
I will say this. I actually, and this just may be me looking through rose-colored lenses because I literally have the Oakleys with rose-colored lenses. But I have a feeling that Tepper throwing that drink, because I don't actually think he threw it at the fan, because if you look at the video, he threw it at the backsplash.
Mhm.
And so, and I'm not defending David Tepper because he's done a lot of numbskull things. And I'm mad at him mainly because he did not get rid of Matt Rule fast enough, who was a tool. And he, but I hope that was his come to Jesus moment. I truly do. Because I think he actually does want the Panthers to succeed. He's too passionate, he's too involved, and he needs a good therapist to tell him to back off.
Well, he you know something, Jen. He should be pretty smart and educated. He has a degree with Carnegie Mellon University, one of the most expensive universities in the United States, in the world, actually, right here in Pittsburgh. Many buildings at Carnegie Mellon are dedicated in his name. There's Tepper buildings all over the place here for Carnegie Mellon. So I thought maybe, he's educated. I figured maybe he'd have, enough common sense to run a football team.
Actually, even the Steelers minority owners, I know the minority owners, when they were voting on Tepper getting the Panthers, voted against him because they didn't think he was mature enough to own a team yet.
And they're right.
Wow.
Well, keep in mind, he was part of the small sect of the minority owners of the Steelers that wanted to trade or fire Mike Tomlin about 10 years ago.
Yes. Yeah.
And so then you hear all those
minority
rumors
ownership
coming here. I'm like,
still wants to fire Mike Tomlin. The minority ownership still wants to fire him.
Well, yeah, but they're stupid.
There's 5 minority owners right now trying to up their stake in the team to try to overrule Art Rooney II to get Tomlin out of there.
I think that's happening. Patty Grimes in response to
it is. You're right, Jeremy. Yeah,
he goes. He wasn't asking $15 million for Carolina. He was asking 20.
Wow.
You know what? Well, sorry, Candy.
That's okay. Finish your thought.
I was just gonna say one thing Tepper did differently this year than he's done the last 5 hiring cycles was he didn't use a fan favorite to be the interim head coach. That was smart because we're still mad at him about the whole Wilkes situation. But
Nothing. I was joking. I was like, I don't know.
But then I think he hired Sportsology, and he hired Sportsology to find a new head coach for the soccer for Charlotte FC and then for the Carolina Panthers. But I wonder how much he used Sportsology in this, since Dan Morgan, our new GM, and Canales go so far back.
Is that Dan Morgan, the former linebacker?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Okay. There you go. Yeah. I knew the name sounded familiar.
Yeah, very much so. I was like, Dan Morgan. I was like, I used to have that football card.
And that wasn't I don't think that hire for Dan to be GM was to give the Panthers fans, the OG ones, my dad and I, sentimental, because we don't want sentimental anymore. When we have less than 6,000 people go into a game, there's an issue. We won't win. And Dan Morgan has literally started as a scout and worked his way up. So.
Okay, well, there is another playoff game on Sunday. And this features the 2 most talked about quarterbacks, I think, probably this season. Lamar Jackson and Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, the Chiefs versus the Ravens.
We are going to start with smoking Jeremy B.
The Chiefs versus the Ravens. I say that because it seems lately to get into the playoffs and win their division that the Chiefs got an awful lot of ref help here and there. Things that were called against them early in the season when they were struggling that wasn't being called through the last 6-7 weeks while they went on their little win streak. Will the NFL let the Ravens beat Patrick Mahomes, the golden boy of the NFL, with the golden girl up in the stands who loves Travis Kelce? I just hope he doesn't play as flat as he has as his girlfriend.
Who's winning the game, Jeremy?
I got the Chiefs winning just because of that, because there's going to be something controversial that'll come out after the game. It's going to be some call that either goes against or for the Chiefs. I just got this feeling it's going to be like a 3-point win. It's not going to be. They're going to be down by 4 points and get a touchdown because of some call.
So I have to go to the chat room because we've had numerous people chatting, and I want to get a couple of these out there. And I know that they're still talking about what we were talking about. Let's put some of these up here.
James Burgess. It depends if Ben wants to leave. He's been an OC for 2 years. Head coach is a very different job. Axel was Axel, Slash was Slash. AG is ready for head coach, I think. I agree too. Because that vote that came up a couple weeks ago that gave AG, and it wasn't for best coordinator, it was for most like coordinator in the NFL. And I don't think he just got defensive votes. I can think of 5 offensive teams and players that probably voted for him too. Ken Ballrich, every day above ground is a win, but the fun part will be when the Lions kick San Francisco's ass and we make sure our ball fam doesn't get both titles. That's great. I couldn't help it. James Burgess, I agree.
Okay. So who did you say was winning this game? Kansas City?
The Chefs.
Okay.
Plus the refs. The Chefs.
Okay. Miss Jen, what are your predictions and what are you thinking of this game?
Candy, you know my thoughts. I'm going to preface this with saying Lamar Jackson deserves his time to shine. Truly, he does. Patrick Mahomes has that playoff mentality that is pretty much untouched. And I mean, he's already surpassed the GOAT in numbers, and people don't like it when I say that. And I will only say Tom Brady is the GOAT of the playoffs. But Patrick Mahomes has that mentality. I do think the Ravens deserve their chance to shine. And I will say, Jeremy, that the heart Travis sent was to Jason and not to Taylor.
Because he was.
It was. But that's just my opinion. Now, as we know, Candy, our friend Carrie, will say that the Chiefs have been playing on borrowed time. But she even did a deep dive and she messaged me and she was like, Jen, you're right. She was like, his numbers. I was like, yeah. So I think it's going to be another tight game. I think it's going to be a very fun football weekend. It's going to be helpful because even though I don't have a dog in the fight with the AFC Championship whatsoever. Go AFC, but they, I want the 49ers to win for like 4 people. So, but that's just me.
Okay. Mr. Ralph, what do you think about this game?
I think Kansas City's going to win because Andy Reid, and I hope Matt Nagy gets his act together for the offensive coordinator. They come out with a good game plan. John Harbaugh has a bad habit of making boneheaded coaching mistakes in playoff games. I've seen him do it many times. He's going to try to go for it on 4th and 1 and have to eat it like he's done against the Steelers and several other playoff games. So I'm taking Kansas City in this game. Lamar Jackson, the only thing he's good for is running with his feet. He's somewhat of a better passer than what he was, but he's not that great like Patrick Mahomes. And as Jen mentioned, Patrick Mahomes has playoff experience, Super Bowl experience. He's been to both. So I think it's going to be the Kansas City Chiefs. It's going to be an interesting game. I'm probably thinking KC by 10 points. It's going to be another dogfight, but I think it's going to be a pretty decent game. This weekend ought to be good for these games.
And I think Baltimore is going to take it because I think home field advantage is going to swing it to them. And I think Lamar is on a mission. And I think he knows that his window, I think, isn't going to be open for forever. I really think he's going to pull it out because I see Kansas City's beatable this year. And like Carrie has said on our podcast, they're on house money. I think this year they're just beatable. I understand where you're talking about, Jen, that Patrick Mahomes takes it to a different level during the playoffs. I just think they still make mistakes, and I think The home field advantage is going to sway it. I think it'll be close, but I think home field advantage is going to sway it for Baltimore this game. But I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a good weekend of football, and we can't always say that about sometimes of these games.
Jeremy and I especially.
I wanted to say Merry Christmas. It's a little late, but all you Packer fans finally got what you wanted. Joe Barry was fired yesterday morning. Hallelujah.
Yeah, I sent the text to Andy, and she was like, good.
It'll get better for Lions, Vikings, and Bears fans. Rumor is they're hiring Matt Patricia.
Oh,
Get
God.
out of here. For real.
There are so many rumors going around. The other rumor that I heard was
like that
Bill Belichick was going to come over and be defensive coordinator. So
you can have Terrell
I see
Austin.
Ron Rivera being your DC before Bill Belichick.
Huh?
I see Ron Rivera being your DC before Bill Belichick.
Yeah. Ron Rivera's good defense. Yes.
To kick rocks. They tried to take him for defensive coordinator. Called him up for the interview. He is number one. You're in the NFC East. And number two, defensive coordinator, you can kiss my beep.
Ron said that?
Bill.
Oh, Bill? Yeah. Bill wouldn't do that. I'm surprised Bill hasn't been picked up, honestly.
Well, he wants too much, Jen. He wants to run everything, and some owners don't want to give up power. I mean, and things like that. He wants his own GM. He wants, and that. And I can understand that, but sometimes there are teams out there that won't do that.
True.
No Matt Patricia for offense. See.
So we are going to introduce a new segment tonight. And that segment is the title of the show. It's My Town. What I want each one of the panelists to do is to pick one topic that is right now in the headlines or in the news that you want to talk about either the town you currently live in or your hometown where you're from. So let's start with Ralph.
Oh, thank you. The Steeler off season's the big news here. Question is, what are the Steelers going to do at quarterback? Mediocre Mike Tomlin has already said that Kenny Pickett will be the number one quarterback going into training camp. Are they going to keep Mason Rudolph? Can they afford to pay him? Or are they going to go somewhere else? Or is he going to go somewhere else? That's the biggest question in the offseason. They have to fix both lines of scrimmage, especially the defensive line. Cam Hayward's getting old. So there's a lot of things going on this offseason with the Steelers. We're going to find out what happens. And that is my town pick there.
Okay. Miss Jen.
I've already talked about, we've got literally Charlotte sports news has not been this hopping in the last 72 hours. Like, I don't remember when it's been this hopping. But I'm actually going to go a different avenue because I've already talked about Canales and Morgan. But when we drafted Cam Newton, I didn't want Cam Newton because he was a hothead and he was done dumb stuff in college. Now, Candy, Jeremy, as you know, I freaking love him. Just so you know, Ralph, I love him. I'm okay with him not being in the NFL anymore, by the way.
But Cam Newton? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm fine with it. However, that lesson taught me not to judge a book by its cover. When we traded Kemba a couple of years ago from the Charlotte Hornets to Boston, we got Scary Terry and a couple other guys. I was like, whatever. They're not going to be as good as Kemba. We just traded Terry Rozier to the Heat. The Heat paid a major price for Terry Rozier. There's a reason for that. Dude is a beast. And I wish him all the luck in the whole wide world. I'm glad I never bought into any of the naysayers with him. But I just, Terry, best of luck. Kyle Lowry, welcome to the Charlotte Hornets. Hopefully you have a positive impact. Maybe, you take out Miles Bridges for me because I want him away from my team. But, hey, But that was what I was gonna go with. So good luck, Terry. You were a great to watch in purple and teal. So thank you for all of your time here, and I hope you win a ring with the Heat. And I'll never say that again about the Heat. Never, ever, ever.
Except in the summertime because you love the heat more than the cold.
Well, there's a reason I live in Charlotte, not Miami.
We talk a little bit of everything. Right now, it's biggest news in your town, and Jen is from North Carolina and the Carolina Panther fan, so of course she's talking basketball.
Well, yeah, but I'd already talked to Alice, and I didn't know. I'm sorry, I didn't know it was all football.
No.
It's not.
No,
It's whatever you want.
It's whatever you want.
Okay. Because I had already talked about Dave Canales coming. I'm actually on board with Dave Canales coming in as the head coach. I truly am. I was actually really happy Dan Morgan got this position. Maybe some photographs I've seen circulating online. He may be the David Tepper whisperer, which is what we need. But yeah, because I talked so much earlier, I wanted to go a different route.
Fine. You're good. You're good.
All right.
He's gonna
Mr.
pull that
Chairman.
He's gonna pull that Jedi mind trick on David Tepper. These are not the players you want.
David, go to the Antifa. Do not turn on the TV during the draft. You will not be a part of this situation.
Is undone. This is the South Florida Tribune, just to let you know where you can find us on YouTube, because that is who I write for, that owns the Motor City Tribune, where you see those wonderful articles I post all over Facebook. I understand it's new faces for you, but we cover a little bit of everything. I just want to talk about this month in general for the state of Michigan, let alone just Detroit. You got Michigan winning a national title for the first time since 1997, when it was a shared title with 3 teams. Then you got right now, the Red Wings are playing so good they're in playoff contention. And then the Pistons broke their losing streak all in this month. Holy crap, miracle never seen. They won a game. I mean, we got a great coach. The problem is the roster has been put together has got the chemistry of water and oil. They're not playing well together. There is a trade rumor out there, and I pray to God it happens because I think it'll help us. Bogdanovich is a great player, and yes, he scores a lot of points and he does a lot of good things. He needs to be on a team that has a chance to make the playoffs. There is a trade to get him to Chicago and bring 2 players back to Detroit, role players, which is something we need. We don't have real role players here, somebody that just fills the gaps and makes the chemistry work. And that's what we're missing. And Troy Weaver needs to go. But my God, the NFC Conference Championship game, if we win this, I think half of Detroit streetlights are going to get knocked down like they did in Ann Arbor when Michigan won the national championship. We might even see a couple cars go on fire near abandoned houses to help the blight removal program.
Oh my gosh.
What a year. I mean, I watched it with my sister. I could have went to the Lions then, and I thought sharing it with family meant more because my brother-in-law is a great Lions fan. So I took my streaming services to my sister's house, and we watched it over there. And I'm not going to lie, I cried like a schoolgirl that was the last ugly girl that waiting for the date to prom, and it finally happened 2 days before. I was that guy.
Don't make fun of me.
I'm not. I'm saying I'm making fun of myself. I cried for like 15, 20 minutes before I could talk to anybody. It was that emotional for me.
That's awesome.
It still is a little emotional. I'm not going to go there anymore. What's done is done. But it's such an amazing feeling to know that our team has gone from strip studs in 2021 to conference championship possible winners 2 years later.
Okay, my town. I'm going to go back to my hometown because, yeah, I'm not the biggest Dolphin, Heat, or Marlins fan. I mean, I'm some of those fans, but You know, I'm from Wisconsin, so I got to go back to Milwaukee. And they've had a lot of things happen too. I mean, not as good as Detroit, let's face it. But the Brewers got a new first baseman. The Packers finally got rid of prevent defense Joe Barry, defensive coordinator. The biggest news I would say right now, the biggest buzz, is the fact that the Milwaukee Bucks fired Adrian Griffin, who was 31-10 with the second in the Eastern Conference, after just a short period of time. And then we go and we hire Doc Rivers. And there are a lot of people out there that are saying that is definitely the wrong hire, because Doc Rivers only did really well with the Boston Celtics. And then since then, he has done nothing in the playoffs. He is 6-10 in game sevens. But
Wow.
here is where I'm going to say, give it some time. Because when you have Chris Middleton, who's 32, you have Damian Lillard, who's 33, you have Brooke Lopez, who's 35, and Giannis, your time to win is now. We never should have hired Griffin, who is a young, inexperienced coach, to coach a team of that, how should I say, veteran presence.
Right.
You need a veteran coach that people respect and that can take you and keep you maybe there. Maybe hopefully Doc Rivers will get us back to the championship game and back to championship winning. Time will tell. But I think the team, after having this inexperienced coach, that they needed someone that they can respect, that's been in the league, that's a veteran coach, that they're going to be like, yep, he's taken other teams to the championship. We need to respect him. We need to listen to him. And we need to come together as a team. And I respect Giannis from coming out and saying, my job is to lead this team and to play on this team. I have to honor and know that the GM is going to do what he thinks is best for the team as a whole and get the right coach for us. Go ahead, Jen. I can see you're already trying to say something.
No, I just have two questions. One wasn't Doc Rivers actually mentoring AG?
He did a little. In fact, there was some consulting that our GM talked to him about AG, and before they fired him. So I think, and one of the things I'm going to tell you, Jen, is I've heard from numerous players that he was trying to devise too difficult of schemes. He was drawing up too difficult of plays. In fact, Giannis on one of the last games was in the timeout and he was drawing up the play. So I think Griffin kind of lost the locker room, lost some of the players.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's where I think the respect left, and that's where they needed to bring somebody in that the players could respect, because he's been in the league for a long time. And who else were they going to get? Who else is out there that would fit that mold?
Right. And then my other question was, did you see the video of the players the day at the pre-warm-ups with Doc Rivers' first game? Yeah. I was like, I don't know how to interpret this. But they did what they had to do. Okay, that was just my other question.
No, I agree. And, sometimes it's okay to say, we made a mistake, we made the wrong call, and we will need to correct it as soon as we can, because let's face it, it's still early in the season, and they can still turn this around. And I shouldn't say turn it around, because 31-10 is not a bad record. But when you're trying to go for the championship and you're trying to be the best, and you have what a lot of people would say is an elite team, you need to have results. And if you feel that the chemistry isn't right, who do you turn to? If you think the team isn't motivated, who do you turn to?
Right.
that's where I would say, like the Packers with Joe Barry, he was losing his defense of players, and he was losing that. So there needed to be a change done. So I kudos to the Milwaukee Bucks for making that change. And I know it was a big splash, and everybody's going to be talking about it, and results are yet to be seen.
Right. Thanks for humoring me with my questions.
Of course, anytime. I welcome them all, of course. Well, at this point, I'm going to let everybody give us how they can get a hold of you and how they can see your broadcast, because I know you each have your own broadcast. So let's start with Mr. Ralph.
Yes, you can reach me at Facebook, YouTube. I have my own YouTube channel. You can also reach me on LinkedIn, and I'm on Tumblr as well. And I have my own Blog Talk Radio station where I do talk shows on. I have 3 shows I do on there. One of them's on Wednesday called Pittsburgh Sports Talk. And on Friday, Scott joins me, JT Talk, and our guest once again this week is going to be Leo Haggerty for the External Bum Show, which is on every Friday morning at 10:30 a.m. on Blog Talk Radio. So those are the shows I have. Tuesday, I have a radio show here in Pittsburgh on Beaver County Radio. It's called Sports Corner Radio Show with me, Ralph Williams, Smoking Jim Frazier. And this week we're doing a Pirates special, and we're having some prominent reporters come on that work for the Pirates to talk about the Pirates and get ready for the baseball season.
Okay, Miss Jen, how can everybody find you, my dear?
So you can check me out with Miss Candy, Carrie, and Miss Megan, Queen of Hope, on Tuesday nights with Chicks and Salsa, 3 Chicks in a Pod. Or you can also find me on Reddit at Jenna Cheryl. Same on X at Jenna Cheryl, the professional fan. And also feel free to go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Not only do you get our podcast, but you also get other events that we've got covered, including some fun arts and entertainment that I've been lucky enough to help out with and all that good stuff. So check us out.
Awesome. And then last but not least, Mr. Detroit, Smoking Jeremy B.
Well, let's see. You can find me right here on the South Florida Tribune, on the channel, and also the website. On the website, don't forget to hit that 3 little hash marks for the menu. Go down to Motor City Tribune where you can find my writings. You can also find me on my channel, which is the Motor City Kneecap Biting with the Motor City Lions, and also on Main Event 365 YouTube channel. You can also find me on Motor City Kneecap Biters on Facebook, Lions Villain Spot on Facebook, and of course my profile. You can find me at Smoking Jeremy B1 on Instagram and at Smoking Jeremy on X.
And then there is us, South Florida Tribune. So go to our website, www.southfloridatribune.com, where you can find Scott's writing, you can find Jeremy's writing, you can find George Eichhorn's writing, you can find my photography, and you can find all of our shows. South Florida Tribune YouTube channel, where you can find this episode, Fire Up, other episodes of Fire Ups. Jeremy and I did a Fire Up last week, Sunday. You can find Inside the Pigskin, which has Melfar Jr., a former NFL player. That's normally on Tuesday nights. Sports Exchange is on Wednesday nights. Pundit's Pundit was previously on show previous to us tonight, lead-in show. Next week, Wednesday, there's going to be Motor City Mad Mouth show, which is Scott going to do it's a one-on-one interview show that he does. But if you enjoy our podcast, please subscribe, share, like us. Let us know if there's any different topics you'd like us to cover. You can email us at southfloridatribune@gmail.com. You can listen to our podcast on iHeartRadio, Apple, Spotify, Google, or wherever you get your podcasts. And last but not least, I cannot leave without saying, my husband wrote a book. There's a copy, little lessons from the microphone. It is available on Amazon or Kindle. Go out and get it. It talks about how sports media has changed over his 44 years in the business. Interesting read. I would like to thank, first of all the different people that have commented tonight. We've had quite a few. Let's see. I gotta love this one. Hi, ladies.
Hi,
In my
Dee.
The chicks and salsa, 3 chicks in a pod, whatever you call it, you ladies are my glops. And the reason why I came up with that name is you remember the Glow division of
Yes.
WWE? The
We
gorgeous,
really
Yes.
need Netflix to bring more shows.
it's the gorgeous ladies of podcasting.
There you go.
You had me laughing so hard when you put that on the page on Tuesday night. Candy was speaking and I completely interrupted her with how hard I started laughing.
It
I
was
interrupted her
awesome.
anyway, but I interrupt everybody by accident.
That would be a sport
Awesome. Please
station.
check out the writing. That's
Yes.
awesome.
Thank you, is undone.
Yes. Well, if you enjoyed the show, again, catch us the next time. Typically Thursday nights, anywhere between 9:15 and 9:30 start. We'd love to see you on the next episode. I want to thank my awesome panel, Smoking Jeremy B, Ralph Williams, and my chick, and Lewis. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Have a great weekend and enjoy some football this weekend.
Woohoo!